Women like to be led. They want to be told sometimes, hey, I want to go to this restaurant, or let's take you here and surprise you. And that's the reason in the beginning you try to impress the girl and you get the girl and you do everything. Even though she tells you no in the beginning, you're going to push and get her because, that's just it, because you want that. You're hunting for her. As a man, you're hunting for her. But the thing is that we get civilized later on. And we're programmed to say no in the very beginning at everything.
What it is, Brad Lee, back again with another episode of Dropping Bombs. Today in the studio, folks, I got a real treat for you. Jacqueline Elliott. She's the CEO of the Elliott Group, actually. So a lot of people, a lot of times see Andy instead. Andy's her husband. They don't see Jackie as much. But there she is. So I got her in here. Number one, because you're the real brains behind the operation.
Yeah.
You're the heart of the operation. That's for damn sure.
We do talk about that a lot. Yes, for sure.
Now, I know that you're not used to being on podcasts and being interviewed. Are you nervous at all?
No, I'm not nervous.
At all?
No.
You sure?
No, actually, I like this. This is different. Usually we hang out and do different things. So this is awesome.
You guys can follow her at official Jacqueline Elliott, Jacqueline, and Elliott's Elliott. Anyway, welcome to the show. Let's talk about what like makes you tick. You know what I mean? You're very passionate. I've noticed over the last couple years that you're always on and focused. How do you get like that?
Well, it took a lot. Obviously, just being married to a guy like Andy Elliott is a job in itself. But we went through a lot of different things, coming from just an upbringing of a lot of pain and a lot of hurt. I would say I was born.
What kind of pain? What are you talking about?
Well, I was an introvert. I was a shy kid.
That's not painful. What do you mean pain, though? Get to the juicy stuff.
Get to the juicy stuff. Okay, well,
You grew up in Mexico?
I did, but I was born in California. I moved to Mexico when I was a kid. I lived with my mom at first. My mom is one out of 14 children from Mexico. And when my parents got divorced, I stayed living with my mom. And it was kind of a shit show. I was the kid that all my aunts and uncles always told me, I wish that I was your parent. I wish,
Why? Why were they saying that? Because
my mom was the one that was always working or dating at the time or doing something that
just
wasn't
not paying attention to you much.
No, she left me at home. I had a sister when I was 8 years old, and I became her mom. Basically, I was the one that was taking care of her, staying up at night, and all of that. So
your mom was always out running around.
My mom was always out.
But she'd come home and kiss you in the mornings. No,
she wasn't very affectionate. But I did see her. She wasn't. I mean, I'm not gonna say that I had it.
She sounds like my dad.
She was more like a dad. Yes, actually, I lived with her and I saw a lot of different things that I probably shouldn't have seen as a kid.
But like then, what?
Getting to the nitty gritties. No, I did see like her dating, her like.
What does that mean? Her dating? Like you'd walk in and she was getting busy in the bedroom?
No, I'm not to that extent, but she would leave me at home and go out, and she would tell me, I would ask her, is it more important to go out with this guy than spending time with me? And she'd just
you would ask that at that age?
Yeah, I did. I was very, very adult-like at a very young age. And then I lived with her for a while, and
This is in Mexico?
No, this was in California.
Oh, okay.
I was actually born in San Jose, California, very ghetto area. It's like East LA where I was born, really bad. But then later on in life, a few years later, I ended up moving with my dad. So I saw my mom.
And your dad was in Mexico?
My dad was in Mexico. My dad got remarried. Younger woman, 14 years younger than him.
But your dad's very successful.
He is now. When I was growing up and I moved with my dad, I experienced knowing what failure was. He was a failed entrepreneur. He always had businesses, but he would fail over and over and over. So he tried different ones growing up. So I learned, I guess, the hard way, but also was very good for me to see failure.
You read my book?
I have read. Oh. I read your book. It's actually a really good book. I recommend.
You just did a copyright infringement.
I did.
Yeah.
You gonna find me?
You said I learned the hard way.
I did learn the hard way. I can't use hard way at all.
That's why I named it that.
Yeah.
It's because everybody always says it.
Yeah.
It's
true.
It's like, dude, you're gonna learn the hard way.
Yeah. And then you find them.
I didn't mean to interrupt you, but I'm famous for it. So
I know. It's a really good book.
It throws curveballs at people.
Exactly. But living with my dad was actually a blessing. Going to Mexico and growing up, I went from the worst schools in California to going to private school there. So it was a very different upbringing. But I did see failure. My dad started over and over and over. Now he does very well, but it was not until I was out of high school that his business really kicked off. But I saw that. So I became very ballsy, very business oriented. But I also was really cold. I was cold in the sense that I grew up with my mom, like not really thinking about different things, learning how to prove myself. I didn't want anybody to feel sorry for me growing up because I lived that when I was a kid. People always were like, hey, I wish I was your mom. And I wish I could take care of you. Like, why aren't you mad at people because you went through this? And I was always just like looking like, quit feeling sorry for me. I hate it. I mean, the worst thing you can do for me now is feel sorry for me at anything. So I don't really talk about complainers. I mean, I'm like all over that. But growing up with my dad, seeing that failure, I became very ballsy and started working at a very young age. I went to school. I also had different jobs. I grew up really fast and learned how to make money at a very young age, but I wasn't afraid of anything. Fast forward in life, went to college, did all the stuff, then
went to college and did all the stuff. See, what's all the stuff? You just blew past that part.
Yeah, well, I grew up and, went to school and also had jobs. So I learned how to make money, but school.
Where were you living?
I was living in Mexico. And then
now again, when I think of Mexico, I think of, the beach towns I visit.
Yeah.
Was it that?
No. The town I grew up in, the city I grew up in is called Hermosillo, Sonora.
Is it a beach town?
No, it isn't. It's about an hour or so from several beaches.
Is it like nice. Big?
It's big, yeah. It's over 1 million people.
Okay, because every time I think of Mexico, I just think of some like little
cartel.
Yeah, I think of like a little, sleepy town.
I need to take you there. It's a very nice place. Where
little kids are running from, house to house down the street, kicking a soccer ball.
Yeah,
there's dust and tumbleweeds.
No, actually, Mexico is for a lot of people that don't know Mexico. Mexico is like you either very poor. There's no middle class. So you're either rich or you're poor, right? So growing up, I was in that level where my dad was always like an entrepreneur. Even though he failed over and over and over, he still managed to put me in a private school, and we were kind of growing up that way. But in Mexico, if you grow up with the wrong last name or you don't have connections, like there could be the most beautiful, you can be the most beautiful girl in the world, right? And you're walking down the street and a rich guy looks at her and it's like, she'd make a good, wife for like a construction guy or something like that. I'm talking about like not the ones that we have here. We have a lot of people in construction that make a lot of money, but the ones in Mexico, they would never pay attention to
laborer,
the girl.
Let's call them
laborer. Yes. So they would never pay attention to a girl like that because she doesn't carry the last name. Hottest girl in the world.
Carry the last name what? What are you talking about? Carry what last name?
Well, a well-known last name.
In Mexico?
In Mexico.
Like what? Slim?
Yeah, Carlos Slim. Yeah, you know him. Yeah, he's
no,
great.
But I've heard of him.
Yeah. He makes a lot of money.
What do you mean they don't have the wrong? They have the wrong last name. What is a wrong last name?
Well, they're just born into a poor family, for example. Like they don't.
That's what you mean by that. Mm-hmm. Not any particular name. I thought you said like, dude, if your name's like Sanchez down there, everybody knows you don't mess with the Sanchez's.
Well, yeah. I mean, I guess if you have the wrong last name and you belong to the cartel family, that'd be kind of the same story. But no, I mean by wealth.
But the cartel family belonging to that thing kind of puts you in the advantage situation, doesn't it?
Could advantage.
Don't they run shit down there?
They do, yeah, but I don't know for how long.
Well, like if I was a relative to the cartel, I'd be somewhat of a prince, wouldn't I?
You could be, but I don't know how long that would last. So.
What do you mean?
Well, I don't know. I mean, everything.
Doesn't the cartel run that shit?
I believe so. I'm not very familiar with the cartel. They do joke around and say that I would make a good cartel leader, though. So
yeah, you ever seen Queen of the South?
I have. It's a great movie.
That's why you're so nervous, because you're worried we're going to discover you used to be Queen of the South.
I could be, yeah.
You probably could be. That'd be funny.
I'd be really good at hiding bodies in the desert.
You'd be a boss drug dealer, that's for sure. And if you could be ruthless, though. You're too nice. You wouldn't tell people.
That's because you haven't seen me pissed off.
Get rid of the bodies.
I have that Mexican hot blood in me that if you do get me pissed off, you don't want to do that.
Well, I've never seen you pissed then.
No, not much pisses me off.
I was gonna say, do you get pissed?
Yeah, I do.
Like pissed?
Yeah, I do. I don't stay pissed. That's the difference, though. Like I'm very hot blooded, so that I will do something or I'll explode very fast, but I get through things really, really fast. I don't believe in walking on eggshells. So if you do something to piss me off, I will let you know. I won't think, oh, I wonder if Brad did this to me, or I can't believe that he did this, or I won't talk smack behind your back, but I will tell you, and then we'll get over it. We'll fight for a minute, maybe, or whatever, and then we're good.
Fist fight?
You can, yeah, what? No, not fist. I actually have never been in a fight in my life.
That's good.
Yeah, physically.
You're physically capable of protecting yourself. You look incredible shape. Do you work out nonstop with Andy all day, every day?
Not all day, every day. Believe it or not, it's something that I grew into.
Matter of fact, weren't you the one that kind of instigated Andy into being more fit?
I did instigate him to a point because, okay, so being from Mexico, I mean, there's a lot of Mexicans that work out, but the typical Mexican doesn't work out. Like it's not something, it's newer.
See, if you weren't Mexican, I'd say, dude, you can't say that, but you're Mexican, so you can say it.
No, I can't say it, but the truth is there's a lot of good, I mean, so many athletes in Mexico now, but back when I grew up, or at least my family, they weren't interested in working out. You look at them and they're just kind of like small frame, like little, so I didn't really know about working out. I didn't even know what a dumbbell was. I mean, honestly, I really didn't know. But Andy, he has a family and, his family has tendencies to be on the obese side. I mean, they're between 300 to 500 pounds, most of them.
Dude,
so
that's
he has
huge.
Yeah, that is pretty big. So
yeah, I mean, once you hit 300, unless you're like, really tall, once you hit 300, you better be stacking muscle. Because if you're not really muscular and you're 300,
right? Damn,
dude, that's like health condition type obese.
Yes. So Andy, at a very young age, working out was very important to him. Now, in the corporate world, you don't have a lot of time for that. Or maybe you have a lot of excuses not to do it. But I did realize that when Andy lost his game as far as being, super excited about work and also, as a husband.
Before you met him, how do we skip to that? I want to do a timeline.
Going all over the place.
Well, because again, I want to imagine you in high school. Like, what were you doing, and what were you like faced with there, and then how did you eventually get to fucking, where was it? Ada, Oklahoma or some shit?
No. Well, I went to college, as an exchange student in Spain. And then after that, I came to Arizona because I had family in California.
Now, this is way before you knew Andy.
This is way before I knew Andy.
Yeah.
And Andy and I understand each other. We're both like one of my many jobs when I got back. One thing I did learn from my mom that was a good thing is that she was a workaholic. So I became a workaholic. Like I was constantly working. And because I was kind of cold, I didn't ever want to depend on anybody to give me any handouts or I was just like so business oriented. I was so disconnected. I didn't really pay attention to guys. I was very, very,
That's probably what saved you.
It did save me. And I had a crazy brother that was scary. I was known as
you don't have him anymore?
No, I have. Well, he was crazy at the time with me. Okay, I do have him.
Okay, is he still crazy?
He's still crazy, yes, but he doesn't really mess with me anymore. But back then, I was known as a girl that don't talk to her. Her brother's crazy, and he would drive guys away from me constantly. My whole entire childhood, like nobody ever talked to me. Nobody looked at me.
Now you look back and think, that's probably a good thing.
Now I do, now that I'm a mom, because when I got pregnant the first time, I was like, oh, I need to have a son. But back then I was like, man, nobody would talk to me. School projects, I had to call the teacher and be like, I can't do any school projects with boys. I had to do the whole thing for the whole team.
What would your brother do?
He crazy stuff. He chased him around with the guns. I mean, all of this different stuff. So they knew not to talk to me. It was insane. So, I mean, it was a good thing, I guess, that I wasn't.
So you were a bit of a lonely youngster.
I was very lonely. Yeah, but no, but not lonely.
Friends?
I was a loner.
You didn't have friends?
I always had friends. I always had friends growing up. I always had, hung around like the cool kids, I guess. But I was kind of like the nerdy cool kid where I was like.
So what would you do on the weekends? Nothing?
Well, I hung out with girls, but I wasn't allowed to hang out with guys.
So what would you do on the weekends?
Gosh, I mean, I don't know. I worked a lot. I mean, I started working when I was really, really young. I started working at 14 and, in Mexico.
So you've been straight biz since day one.
It was almost too much.
So you need to relax a little.
I need to relax. Now that I'm, about to be 42, I'm like, yes, let's have some fun because I really didn't. I mean, I grew up really fast because I had to basically become a mom to my sister. And, I started working and I was honestly a really cold person. So I grew to be this person that was in business and I developed wealth at a very young age. Like I had homes, I had cars, I had all this stuff before I met Andy that meeting him was really, really hard. And actually I wasn't tolerant to anything. Like I was the one that was like, oh, it's my way or the highway. It was just, I was a problem then. So.
Okay. Now let's start right there. So you're at a car dealership working with Andy.
No, not yet.
Where do you meet him?
Well, I started at a car dealership in Tucson, Arizona. That was before I moved to Oklahoma. I started there and that was one of 3 jobs that I had. I did other things as well. So I started as a customer relations manager, when they used to call and ask for, customer service, you want completely satisfied and all that. So I used to come in and just for sales and service and ask, customers to give these reviews or surveys to the salespeople. And I started doing that. And one day I went and there was an emergency. I guess one of the receptionists had an emergency with their kid and she was crying. And I'm like, what's going on? So she's like, my son had an accident. I got to leave. So I go and I sit down at her desk, to cover for her. And then back then, they used to have these little pink slips that were the commission vouchers. So the general manager goes and he gives them to me to put in these little cubbies that they had right there at the desk. And the salespeople, I guess, apparently used to pick them up. So as I'm separating them and putting them in those little things, I noticed these commissions. And I'm looking at them and I was like, man, do these guys really? And I remember thinking, I'm like, these guys just sit around and read the paper all day. This is back in 2003. So, we don't have all the stuff we have now. So I'm like watching this and I'm like, man, it was hot. They're all sitting inside. Nobody was outside. It was just like, they were just like in a country club. So I remember telling him, his name's Frank. And I was like, Frank, I'm like, do these guys really make this on one car? And he starts laughing. And he's like, yeah, that's on a car. And I was like, wow, okay. And I'm like, can I try this? And then he's like, what do you mean? You do great at this. I'm like, it's okay. I can do that one day a week. I mean, this is easy. I can handle it. I'll still take care of that. Just let me come in and sell cars. He's like, all right, whatever. So I come in on Monday and, I'm dressed to work. And then he's like, you're serious? And I'm like, yeah, I'm serious. I want to sell cars. And he's like, all right, well, go catching up. And I was like, what does that mean? And then he's like, well, go talk to customers. And I'm like, okay. So I had no idea what I'm doing. I just go out there and I'm just like, okay, it's hot. Everybody's inside. So I'm just standing outside. My feet, it's hot in Tucson, Arizona. My shoes, I can feel them sticking to the ground because they're like about to melt. It's in the middle, it's hot. So I go outside and then I have a first person comes up and it was an older man. And he reminds me of my dad because my dad's very like straight laced. He has his shirt buttoned up, never wears short sleeve. He's perfectly pressed. His hair is fixed. He shows up and he asked me about diesel trucks. And I'm like, okay, diesel trucks. I don't know what the diesel is back then. So I walk him over to that side of the car lot where all the trucks are at. And then he starts asking me these questions. And immediately I start cracking up laughing. I start laughing because I was so nervous. I didn't really know what to do. And he looks at me, he's serious with a straight face. And then all of a sudden he starts laughing and he's like, what are we laughing at? And I'm like, do I look like the type of girl that knows anything about these trucks? I said, I know nothing. This is my first day. I said, but you look like you know everything about them or else you wouldn't be asking me these questions. And I could either go get somebody in there that's sitting down, just waiting for somebody, they can talk to you, or you can show me because I know nothing about them and you seem like a nice guy. So anyway, he looks at me. And then he's like, okay, go get the keys. So I'm running. I don't even know where the keys are. I'm like running in there, get the keys. I go out. So he starts talking to me and we go from the test drive inside and then I go and get the proposal. I get the pencil. Well, back then I didn't know that people can negotiate. I didn't know anything about that. So the manager gives me that and he's like, okay, sell it for this. So I go out there and I go and I'm very persistent on why this is such a good deal back then because I didn't know anything,
Brand new. Did you sell it or no?
Of course I sold it on first pencil and I had no idea that there was room to negotiate or anything because I'd never done it before.
Okay. And then how much was commission on that vehicle?
It was a lot. It was like $1,700 or something. But
were you sprung since then?
Well, yeah, it was easy.
Commission whipped is what they'd call that.
Yeah, but I didn't really know what I was doing, but I realized I was like, man, this is actually pretty easy because I'm just talking to people and I learned that I was actually doing kind of the road to the sale, but didn't really understand it. So I was in there, I'm selling cars and
do you know, by the way, that's how all salespeople start.
Yeah, I realized that later in life and we can get into that, but it was kind of mind-boggling that nobody taught me. And I was always criticized later on, all those guys that were in there, they're just looking at me from the window in the AC, complaining that I was taking all the customers, talking to everybody. I was always in a good mood. And I could hear them talking about me and just complaining all the time.
Well, sure.
And I would just look by them and be like, hey, good morning. And I pretended like I didn't hear them. And
so eventually one of them was Andy.
No, I didn't meet Andy back then.
Come on, we gotta accelerate a little bit.
No. So anyway, I started.
So you sold your first car. You were sprung on the car business.
I became number one salesperson, and then I jumped into finance by translating a deal to a customer, not really trying to get
which if people don't know out there in the world, moving to finance is a little bit of a promotion.
It is a promotion.
Sure,
but
it is.
I was translating, and then all of a sudden,
finance manager.
Well, I wasn't a finance manager. At first, I was just translating the deals because I was the one that spoke Spanish.
So they moved you in there as a translator?
Well, I would just translate the deals, but then all of a sudden the guy started calling in and he wasn't there. So I started taking all the turns, and then all of a sudden my per copy was higher than them.
Now you're in finance.
I'm in finance, then I became a finance manager. Then I was a finance director. So then I started excelling. So
getting deals bought at the bank. See, most people listening that aren't in the car business, they wouldn't even know what those mean.
Exactly.
Finance managers, are the ones you sit in front of and they sell you the warranties and explain your payments, et cetera, do the paperwork. Finance directors get the banks to buy your roaches ass. Some of them with bad credit, you'd have to call the bank and give them stories. You're selling the bank now.
Yes. And you would also get banks to sign up.
Okay, so you moved up through the ranks. This is still in Tucson.
This is still in Tucson.
You're not dating anybody.
I'm not. I was a workaholic. So what I did when I would start letting that noise from all those other people complaining, I went and I got into debt. I really don't even know.
You got into debt, you said?
Debt. I bought my first house. And then
in Tucson,
I bought a 4-bedroom house with a pool, way bigger than I needed. But I knew that I needed something to just keep me under the gun, to not let those outside voices like mess with me. So I went and I got into debt, and I started doing well, and started making money. But I had that, and I would have my family come and visit, and then they would leave, and then whatever I had, so I started just putting pressure on myself. I was 22 years old. So I was young, 21, 22, around that. And then after that, what happened, I was doing really well, and I was making money. I had all this stuff. And then I got 2 rental properties, and I started kind of investing into real estate. And I don't even know how I qualified back then. They would qualify anybody. Like if I tried that with the type of history that I had back then, there's no way the bank would qualify you.
Yeah.
But back then I did, and I don't even know. I still have no explanation of how I even qualified, but I got all that stuff. So I went in and I took a class. I went to finance school. After I had been finance and finance director, I went to finance school in Oklahoma. So I went there, and I remember then talking in the class, and they were asking about like what we did. And I was the only one that had a house. I had the nicest car. I had all this stuff, and I made the most money in the room. But then they put me in a room to overcome objections and do a presentation. And I felt like I was the worst one in the room. I felt like I wasn't qualified. So even though I was doing well financially, I just felt like I had the gift of gab, and I was good with customers. I was nice to them, and they were buying despite of my ability of being the best. And that ate me alive. So what happened was that I went back to one of my mentors at the time, and I told him, hey, I want to move to Oklahoma. I want to be put with these guys that do so much better than me. He's like, but that's like, you're doing so much better than them financially. I'm like, it doesn't matter. Like, I want to get tested. So that's when I moved to Oklahoma. Didn't know anybody. And I ended up working at a dealership from the same group as Andy, but we didn't really work together. And that's where we met. He was a used car manager. He had been there for 10 years.
Was he the same as he is right now? Or was he just walking around there a little bit different?
He was very, very different. And actually, everybody told me, don't talk to that guy. He's bad news. He's a womanizer. He has a bad reputation. He walked around frosted tips. I mean, it was just completely opposite. Over tan, like completely different guy than he is now. Andy was my biggest project, but I told my mentor at the time, which was Andy's mentor as well, but we didn't really know much of each other. He trained him and he trained me, and he told me, hey, this guy's not good news for you. Like, he's bad. And I'm like, and he told me, I hear these girls fight over him, all this stuff. And I'm thinking like.
So Andy was like a playboy in Oklahoma.
He was, like Wedding Crashers. He's probably
where in Oklahoma?
He was in Norman, Oklahoma City. Yeah.
Norman.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, dude, like that. How big is that?
Oh shit, I don't know. It was a metro.
I can just picture Andy walking around with frosted tips in Norman, Oklahoma, thinking he was king
of
the
cool.
town.
He was the cool shit. But anyway, I told him, I said, do I look like the type of girl that puts up with any shit? Like, and he's like, no, you're not. Do I look like the type of girl that fights over any guys? He's like, no, you do not. And I'm like, okay, I'm the type of girl. If he does something to me, I'm out. And
But did he ask you out or something?
Andy?
Yeah.
No, well, after we started talking, I was actually.
Well, you start talking because you're working together, but at some point.
No, we didn't work together. We didn't start talking until after we didn't work together. Like I got offered a job as a finance director at Harley Davidson. So that's when we actually started dating. I never dated anybody at work.
So you weren't working there anymore?
No.
But he was pursuing you?
Yes.
So then eventually you said yes.
Yes, I did, but I drew a hard line. I drew a hard line and I told him, listen, like, I'm not going to be the type of girl that's going to be fighting or being like, why did you do this to me? Or I don't deserve this, or
basically
tell me
lay down
why.
the rules.
Yeah. And I said, listen, if you do something, you're just never going to see me again. I'm not even from here. So I'll just go somewhere else. It's no big deal. Like, it's, you know, we can be together. And if you decide to do something different, that's totally cool. I'm not going to be crying over you. You don't have to be crying over me. There's a lot of good people in the world. There's a lot of bad people in the world. I mean, we don't have to be together. And he was like, oh shit.
How old were you now?
I was 24. So it was one of those things where, you know, we decided. I was also the first girl that ever rejected Andy. So I think that was more of it in the very beginning. Like, he tried to kiss me and I was like, I'm not going to kiss you. Like the first time he tried, I was like, it's not going to happen. He's like, what do you mean? Like, what's wrong with you?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, sometimes that you'd think, you know, that's good. And then sometimes if a girl does that and you know she's doing it on purpose,
yeah.
And it almost feels like there's games being played.
Well, I think maybe it was because I knew the type of guy that he was.
Or manners.
Yeah. I also have that Hispanic, you know, background.
Yeah.
You know, but later on in life, like, I realized as we got closer together and everything, like he really wanted to be with me, and I did with him too. So we spoke a lot of the same language. Like, we were both very business oriented. We can understand each other, and he had a lot of pain growing up as well. You know, his mom left him when he was 2 years old, and, you know, she's an alcoholic, you know, all of that. So we understood each other, but we were the type of people that we just grew. But I actually pushed Andy a lot because he had been in the same position at the dealership for 10 years.
Dang.
And I actually was promoted and kept growing and doing different things. And I came from that entrepreneur background where I wasn't afraid of anything. And that's why I was able to move there and do all these things. So I was very ballsy at the time. And Andy was playing it safe. And I believed in him because I saw the way he led people, and I saw how good he was, and he knew a lot about, like, overcoming objections, and he was really good at what he did, but he was more of a showman. Like, he didn't really, like, he was cocky, he was arrogant and all of that. So it took a lot of molding, a lot of, like, hey, you can't be like that to get him where he is. But I also believed in him to take the next step, where he then became a general manager and did all these different things and grew. You know, later on, fast forward, you know, we have a business, but a lot of it started with me pushing him, you know, because I did not think that, I mean, we weren't stretching him to his full potential at the time.
Yeah, which is why I said you're the brains behind the operation.
Well, yeah, it came from both of us. A lot of it, and, you know, with our marriage, we went through a lot of different things. It was very difficult in the very beginning because we were both kind of alpha. You know, a lot of people are like, well, you're a woman, you know, alpha. And even if you are alpha as a woman, you want a man to be alpha and lead, you know. So I think if Andy
you would
would have
become sub-alpha.
Yeah, I guess so. Well, but the thing is,
but you agree the man should lead, or you?
Yeah,
or you
I
think
totally
the
agree the man should lead. A woman, even though they have their say and they're opinionated, I don't believe on walking in eggshells. And there's certain things that I am alpha that Andy lets me handle at home and in business that he is not capable.
Did you say lets you?
Well, he does. Whether he wants to or not, he does. You know, or maybe it's the other way around. Who knows? No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah,
but
listen, I know Andy, and Andy would say, yeah, whatever Jackie says.
He does do that a lot. Yes, yeah. He does do that a lot. But, you know, we do want men to lead in a lot of different things. It's like if you go and you tell Melissa, hey, let's go to dinner. And it's her birthday. And she's like, oh, babe, you know, yeah, but we're taking care of the kids or whatever. Like, it's okay. You don't have to take me out on my birthday. It's your job to be like, hey, babe, it's your freaking birthday. Get up here. You deserve this. Let's go. Let's
thank God
that extra
I wouldn't
push.
even have to.
Well, thank God you don't have to, but most people in the world, most normal people in the world don't do that. And they just kind of take their word. Women like to be led. They want to be told sometimes, hey, I want to go to this restaurant, or let's take you here and surprise you. And that's the reason in the beginning you try to impress the girl and you get the girl and you do everything. Even though she tells you no in the beginning, you're going to push and get her because, you know, that's just it, because you want that. You're hunting for her. As a man, you're hunting for her. But the thing is that we get civilized later on. And we're programmed to say no in the very beginning at everything. You know, we're programmed to, you know, when you're growing up.
What should they do now? Say yes?
They're not programmed to do that. You have to learn to understand them. And we can get into that, but that's going to be another podcast to do that.
Well, we need to do a part 2 anyway, because we're running out of time.
Yeah, we are.
And I wanted to get to some other stuff. Like, for example, you know, there's a lot of, because you and Andy now are always on the stages, you know, and a lot of women are asking you a lot of questions and, you know, about relationships, et cetera, et cetera. So, like, what bombs could you drop on that?
Well,
because right now there's a lot of entrepreneurs out there, and they're, should I get married? Should I not get married? People ask me all the time, and it's like, commit, yes. Get married, I don't know. Well, what would you say about that? Should a young individual right now get married?
Well, yes, but and no, obviously, because you can find the right or wrong person to do that. A lot of times we find the wrong people that probably don't have the same likes and wants or goals as the other. But a lot of times, a lot of guys ask me, my number one question is, hey, Jacqueline, how do I get my wife to support me the way you support Andy? And I always think about this, and I always tell them, what is it that you talk about when you get home? Like, they let the newness wear out of their relationship. They're like complaining, like they're, I'm so sick of my boss. He made me stay late at work, or I dealt with these customers nobody can qualify to buy, or man, this product sucks. They complain. They don't save that special.
Don't you hate
energy.
being around people like that?
I do hate that. I really do. And we do that. And then all of a sudden you're like, or we get too comfortable with our wife. We get home, instead of like saying what you love about your job or your career or your business and what you do to help people and change people's lives. She wants to see her man fulfilled. Like, she wants to see him happy. Like, there was a time in our life, for example, that Andy was very focused on in every business out there. And the reason why we go up on stages and the way we talk and we're together is because the message out there most of the time is, put your family aside, work hard for them, your wife needs to be the queen, and give her a nice house and all that, and let her take care of the kids and all that. And then you go chase the world, but put in all your time and leave your family last. We believe in having it all. You can have it all. And you actually build it. It's a little harder, but you build a solid foundation where you're going to have your wife and your family support you. See, we're very open about what we talk about, and we chase the same dream. The reason why we were able to start a business is because he told me, hey, when I get weak and I say I can't, you have to tell me that I am capable, and that's not allowed. Or when somebody
did you guys hug and cry at the time?
Hug and cry.
Did you say, I will, Andy, I promise?
Well, we show a lot of tough love, and we're very, very passionate and affectionate in a lot of different things. So if he comes to me and shows me his weak side, I'm going to try to take that and understand it, but also I'm going to strengthen him and show him that he is capable of achieving more. And I need to see that, because I want a man that I can look up to, a man that I can see that's fulfilled. Because sometimes there's men that give everything to their family and they don't include them in that growth, and they keep business aside. And sometimes we think the man thinks that the woman doesn't really understand the business, but she understands more than you think, and you kind of keep her isolated in that, so she can't support you when maybe sacrifices need to be made. When we started our business,
are you going to eventually become a coach? I mean, relationship counselor?
I think I already do that. We actually had a couples mastermind, and I have a lot of people that I do coach that do that. And a lot of times, a lot of women that I talk to, they're either in business or they're not in business, and they have a family, and they feel guilty for maybe working, and they don't know how to balance the two. So I was in that boat. I was very business oriented, and then I went to the family side, and I felt like I had another level inside of me because it was in my DNA. Like, I felt like I needed to grow in that way. But, I don't, a lot of people tell me, oh, should I work with my husband? And I'm like, it doesn't mean that either. Like, you have to find fulfillment.
What about the girls that don't want to work?
Well, that's okay, as long as you find fulfillment and growth in what you do. If you want to be the best mom in the world, and you want to be the best housewife or the best nurse or whatever it is that you want to do, if you find fulfillment and you're growing in that, then do it. You don't want to take that away from her. And I actually encourage a lot of people not to work together, because most of the time...
You don't want to take that away from her.
No, you don't want to take that away from her. No, but I encourage a lot of people to not work together, because a lot of times they're like, oh, well, I'm going to get my wife to help me. And the guy tends to give the woman the work that he doesn't want to do. Like, hey, load my customers into my CRM, or send them postcards.
Guys do that?
A lot of people do that.
So I would just hire a secretary.
Exactly. Well, they use their wives as a secretary, and that's just not
that's not like bad, but it's not. I mean, I would think the wife should be like, dude, I ain't here to load up your data. But if the data needed loaded up, why wouldn't she do it?
Well, a lot of smaller businesses, and when they're starting, that's what's needed to be done. Honestly, they can't afford to.
What would you tell like Melissa? Like, hey, go help Brad by showing up at his office in a fur coat with nothing on underneath, and show him you love him on a regular basis and rub his shoulders.
Are you asking me to help you with that, Brad?
No, I'm just joking. No, I mean, it would be weird if she did that, number one, because, she does her own things.
Right.
And that ain't one of them. But,
Melissa,
a lot of people think she doesn't work and she just sits around all day and, doesn't do anything.
No.
I believe the woman at home with the kids is working harder than the man at the job.
True. That is very, very true. And we do have, being at home with the kids is a very, very hard thing.
It's huge hard. Sometimes I'll stay home with the kids like for 2 or 3 hours or she's doing some shit. And I'm like, hurry up. I literally text her like, hurry up.
Yeah.
How do you do this all day, every day?
No, it's true. But a lot of the reason why sometimes it becomes a problem is because they don't get recognized. Like you do a good job.
I recognize her.
No,
yeah.
that's good. And that's why it's a healthy relationship.
But I think I'm one of those love language of money. Like I think love is when I buy her shit.
Well, I would disagree with that because I know you.
That's how I am though. Like buy me shit and it'll show me that you love me.
See, you say that.
No, I got two things that show me you love me. Buy me some shit or rub me.
Well, she might do a good job rubbing you then.
She does both, but I buy her the shit.
No, yeah, but you do show her a massive amount of love. And I think that you say that a lot jokingly, but I do see you with your kids and I see you with her and you can see with those eyes, when you first get the girl, you're like constantly like, oh, she's looking at me or I'm looking at her. And you're like, oh, you're joining eyes all the time. And as relationships go through years, like how many times do you look at each other when you're at home? Like most couples, they don't really do that.
I say, get out of the way. Cannot see.
What I was about to say is you don't do that. You actually join eyes and you look at each other like you said, like she's getting in great shape and she's a great mom. She's a beautiful woman.
She's getting in good shape, huh?
She is. She's looking really hot. But, she's a great mom and she's good to you and you're good to her too. So don't take away that credit.
I don't.
Yeah, no.
Trust me, I'm the king. I'm King Louis. That's what I say.
No, so that's a very good balanced relationship. But for a lot of people that do stay home and don't feel that fulfillment is because they're not getting that recognition from their spouse. They're not getting that, hey, thank you so much for doing this, and they just kind of show up and then they give them their worst when they come home from a long day's work and they expect to be served. And that's the difference. You have to be like you're a part of a team.
Now, if you wanted to, it says you're the chief executive officer of the Elliott Group, which means technically you could fire Andy.
I could fire Andy, but I choose not to.
You say, Andy, you're fired. Well, that would be a mistake for the company, though.
That would be a mistake for the company. We've done a good job building him up.
Andy's definitely the machine.
He is
the organization.
He is a machine. He is a machine. I'm super proud of him. And we've gone through lots of stages through our business and everything. Like there was just showing the skill level in growing. But, with the Elliott Group, there's a lot of things that were happening in the back end. We understand the same language and, in all of this trajectory, like I would go in and train as well. So I write most of the training material for that. He's just good on the camera and all of that. I'm not as good, I guess I would say. I'm getting better. But we do a lot of the things together. Problems or anything that gets done or implemented, I'm the implementation of everything pretty much in the business. So.
Well, before it was always just Andy. Now you're starting to see Andy and Jackie a lot.
Yeah.
And pretty soon I'm thinking they're going to start seeing you a lot more too as an individual badass in the business.
Right. And I think a lot of it while we were building our business in not having a team, it was just me and Andy. So somebody had to do the stuff that nobody wanted to do in the very beginning. And that there's a lot involved in building a business. Now that we have a team and we've grown, because we're growing very, very fast, I've delegated a lot of stuff. So it's actually freed up.
It's getting more fun.
It's getting more fun where we can actually do that. And I've noticed that my message to these women and these men, because I have a lot of people that I coach that are men that are wanting to be a lead, they understand the power of bringing your family with you. And, and they're making a lot of money and they're being coached by all of that. Because, we do sales training and that is our vehicle, but really we are life coaches. We teach them how to have it all and how to be fulfilled and how to have a sustainable, foundation.
Oh, 100%. You're evolving.
Yeah, we're all evolving. So.
Yeah. And eventually, I can't wait to see what happens.
Yeah.
Now, We're going to have you back for a part 2.
Yes, there's a lot of things that we didn't talk about, and I wanted to talk about a lot of the hardships that we feel as far as business, and how to start a team and how to lead a team and all that. Those are the kind of questions that I get a lot, so we can definitely get into those things.
Well, that would be a deep conversation.
That would be
a different podcast.
Yeah, how to handle fights and how to go through adversity and how to recover from that.
Now, what if someone listening is like, I don't want to wait till part 2. How can I learn more about that? Where do they hitch up?
Well, obviously they can follow me at official Jacqueline Elliott. I also, I have a number you can text, and I actually wrote, there's 5 pillars that I used or that we used as a business to create a powerhouse. So if you text the number, you can just put, powerhouse, text powerhouse to that number, and I can send that over, and you can kind of get familiar with what I kind of talk about to form businesses. It's 480-680-7752.
Say it one more time.
480-680-7752.
And my team will put it in the links. Jacqueline Elliott. Jacqueline's was my sister's name. So
yes, that's why you know how to spell it so well.
Yes.
That's great.
And most people don't understand that, even though sometimes they call them Jackies. Yeah. It's Jacqueline's.
It's Jacqueline's. People say Jacqueline a lot. It's not Jacqueline. It's Jacqueline, the way you say it.
Well, I say it Jacqueline, almost like Jacqueline.
Like there's no W in there.
No, but there's a UE.
There is a UE.
And that's a wh.
A what?
Jacqueline.
I think you say it better than I do. I just say Jacqueline.
And folks, if you want to go check this out at official Jacqueline Elliott, you can also see her on YouTube, the Elliott Group. What's the channel? Andy Elliott, or you're all over.
I'm all over now. I'm all over. We're always together, so it's all the same.
You're always together. You're all fit. You got the fitness deal going on. If anybody's fat and feels out of shape and wants to get fit, hit her up. She'll either throw you to Andy or handle it herself.
Yeah, we have a fitness program too.
Yeah, there's all kinds of shit going on over there, folks. Well, I appreciate you coming in, Jackie. And until next time, kids, as always, keep it real.